Before today's episode of Same Business, Different Day, I want to invite you to listen to Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast, where we interview the movers, shakers, and changemakers of Vista, California. Watch Velocity on YouTube or tune in on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. Velocity, moving Vista forward.
Before you guys got in here, but I know that I respect you guys, and I know why I respect you guys, and so you're here now. Regardless of how things went in school, tell me how education affected you.
Mm-hmm. I would say I actually love learning so much. I love science.
I
love soaking. I'm a big old sponge. But when I was, again, the mentality of things, you can't be right and do right if you're not right within.
Right.
What is it? What do they say? How you gonna win if you ain't right within?
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. So when I went to school, I was really great with reading, comprehending, and all that good stuff. I actually skipped a grade, and what happened was my mentality got so broke that I didn't feel like I was worth the schooling. And that's rough even saying. I really do remember that. I remember just being so broke that I felt ignorant, even though I know I wasn't. So in school, I messed around. I don't want to say I'm the class clown because there was people doing that for themselves. I was trying, but I don't think because I was right here, I couldn't focus. And I learned very different. And, with school, you only have one teacher explaining how to do one thing. And when things don't click for you, and then they move on to the next subject, and you're still left on chapter 2 and they're on chapter 8, that becomes difficult.
Same business, different day.
Good afternoon and welcome back to the Same Business, Different Day podcast. I'm your host, Zeke coming to you live from the Film Hub here in Vista, California. I'm happy today to welcome back a former guest, serial entrepreneur, right? In her own right, the owner of What Mess, host of the Let Me Touch That podcast, and one of the hosts of the upcoming Odd Pairings podcast.
Yes, excited.
My guest co-host for the day, multi-talented and one of the smartest people that I know, and someone who loves wine like I do. Miss Natasha Mills is here with me. How you doing, Natasha?
I am doing great, and I'm glad to be back. Thank you.
I'm glad you're here.
It's an honor.
I'm really glad you're here. Thank you for co-hosting with me. All right, so for those of you guys that don't know, we're making a full season out of an event that I attended a couple months ago. The intent of this season is to show the power of networking. One networking event that turned into so many intertwined relationships and still growing. Today, I'm pleased to introduce our audience to two fascinating people that I was sitting next to during this gathering. First, if there was a visual image that can embody the word personality, it would be this lady, Miss Gian Saunders.
Yeah, Saunders. Not for too much longer, thank goodness.
I heard that. Okay, we're going to talk about that. Yeah. And I'm going to say it here and now. This classy gentleman has no deficit of attention. I worked my way around the table, engaging in multiple conversations, and this man never lost track of our conversation, and he made sure that I answered each and every question that he asked me before the night ended. If he wanted a job in podcasting, he could take mine. Brett Pipkin is in the house today.
Hello. Such a pleasure to be here.
My man. Hey, man, I'm so glad. Welcome to you both.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much
Absolutely.
for having us.
Let's talk about what like the time of year, right? I mean, it's raining outside right now.
Yeah.
Like this,
Right.
It
Right.
never rains in summer. Yes, it does. For 3 days straight.
Definitely right.
For 3 days straight.
Let's get it all out of the way now.
So today is the first Wednesday after Christmas.
Okay.
Okay, so how was everyone's Christmas?
Full.
Yeah.
Full and delightful. Full, delightful.
I appreciate that beautiful
love that.
Christmas card
So
you guys
like
sent me.
that? Oh, you're so welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me tell you, we took that at our friend's house, and we're like, hey, this is a good photo op, right? So we took it right at their Christmas tree, but I'm really excited that it was an all-white party. We were able to kind of utilize that for great pictures and photos. But it was really good, and I will say I love his family, and it's great when you have two families that can cook.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. Oh,
Yeah.
This man can cook too, so as suave as he is dressing,
Thank you,
he's
babe.
like that in the kitchen as well. So I'm very thankful and blessed. So
Yeah. I'm just glad my auntie came out from Shreveport.
Love
she baked what she call a heavy
my
pound
gosh.
cake.
Heavy.
Heavy
it's just a pound cake. Brett just
She
has-
used whole milk,
oh, okay.
which gave it that mass there. Yeah, so still feeding off of it's holidays. You got a certain amount of time to eat food. You got about 3 days, honestly.
Right.
After that, yeah. So I had to stretch it one more day with the dressing and things. So
Yeah, you didn't want the milk to go bad.
Yeah, that's it after that though. But yeah, still eating that pound cake though. Yeah. I had to get that recipe. Auntie. Yeah.
Shout out to Auntie.
Shout out to
there.
Auntie. Yeah.
And Shreveport, Louisiana, too. You know, what we talk about a little bit on this podcast is we talk about the journey, right? Everything that where it all started until we got to where we are now.
Oh, I love it.
Right. And so let's start back to where you're talking about. Let's start back in Louisiana, where it all started for you. Can you tell me a little bit more about where it all started for you?
Absolutely. So just being raised by a single mother, I was more so because she worked in a emergency room, and put herself through school as well. And the family that I was raised with was her mother. There was her 2 sisters as well that stayed in the house too. So I was raised by women, right? So that's a very shout out to the women.
That's right.
Love the family. Shout out to the women.
You're welcome.
But that was my upbringing out there until the age of 5, and then we moved to Texas, Plano, Texas. But learned a lot being there. That place taught me a lot as far as Shreveport, Louisiana, right? Just the life that I want to give back to, once established. As far as my realms, because a lot of places that are run down, and it looks like a third world country if you go over there, right? It's not the best place to look, but that's home. That's still home.
So when you say get back to it, are you saying that you want to get back there and actually make a difference out there or something?
Yes, sir. As far as the Boys and Girls Club, that was right down the way. I was raised on Grimmett Drive, if anyone knows where that is over there.
Okay.
Right, Northwood Apartments. So from there, so that and my biggest goal is to build a film studio, for children. So they can actually learn how to use that equipment, because I went to school for audio engineer, but I was more excited with the side of film. So I learned to work with, the recorders, the different mics, NTGs, MKHs. So I nerd out when it comes to stuff like that. I'm very good with those things. But yeah.
Pat yourself on the back. I love it.
So yeah, man, just want to give back in so many ways. But that's one of the biggest things, so they can have somewhere to go.
That'll be helpful to them,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that we talk about it a lot on this show when it comes to education. A lot of folks, going into higher education, so important. Like, I may never get to as high as Natasha is on the education level, but at the same time, there's so many of these folks that they need a good trade.
Yeah.
Right? You need something that you can lean on, something that you're passionate about. You know what I'm saying? Don't just get forced into getting a degree that's not going to take you where you want to go anyway. Right. You know what I'm saying? And if you had like a nice film, I mean, that's dope, man. I'm shocked. I got love for that. Film Hub, this is a beautiful film studio.
Yeah, you got to give me a tour, man.
I can't wait to show you around a little bit, man. This is just one little piece. I'm glad to be here. Now, Gian, you also... I want to hear about where you were raised, where it all started with you.
Well, give a big shout out to 402 Nebraska, if anybody's from Nebraska out there.
Yeah. Okay. Shout out Nebraska. Shout out to 402.
Okay. Most people are never from Nebraska. Some people ask me, where is that? So I actually was born in Arizona, and I moved immediately. I didn't remember the time that I was there, but I love Arizona. I went back there, but Nebraska is my hometown. I love it. All my family's back there. Nebraska, I think, has a very big heart, but kind of, and no disrespect, kind of small mentality. So I remember being there, and I went through a whole divorce out there. I packed up my bags to move out to California because I wanted something a little bit bigger. I wanted a space to grow, right? And I just felt like I wasn't really pushing it to the limits, in Nebraska. So, like, what can a body paint artist do in Nebraska, right? So it wasn't really working out there. So, and it was cold. And I will say that it was really cold. It was cold. Very cold. I woke up one morning, and I remember the day I used to work at the National Gallup Poll. I walked out. I'm 5'2", so I'm not that tall. I came out. The snowdrift was like 4'1".
Oh.
And I had a trench to my car. And I had to scrape off the window shield. I had to defrost my fingers. And I said, I think I'm going to move. I think I'm going to move. So I'm not really for the snow and the cold, but it's a beautiful place in Nebraska. And I was raised by my mom, single mom as well, too.
Okay, so now look, I'm going to tread lightly with this. I'm going to try to be careful. I'm going to try to be careful,
Just
right?
I got you.
Because we talk about the Midwest, we talk about the South, right? But this sounds so familiar to the conversation that Natasha and I had when we sat down and we did our interview, right? And she talked about that small mentality. You know what I'm saying? That you were just trying to get out of and get away from. And she also apologized to the city a little bit. Just said, listen, I want you to feel bad about it, but I had to get away from you.
Yeah.
What are we talking about here? I mean, me personally, I love visiting Louisiana. I've never been to Oklahoma or anything. I've been to Nebraska, but just tell me what that's all about.
So I think that when you grew up in like a more of a city life, there is that expansion that you have, but you have to think about their souls. When you think about a person's soul, their soul, some souls aren't meant for that small life. And I think that that's what happened with us, is that we already had in our brain, like, we know we could be beyond this.
There's more.
No disrespect, once again, no disrespect to that, but we felt in our soul that I can leave, I can go somewhere else and grow from this. And that's exactly what I'm hearing, echoing.
100%.
I love it.
Literally from what I said.
Okay, so why California? I feel like I'm getting a little too far past
The
where
sun.
That's
I
awesome.
was
That's
chasing
great.
water
I'm
and
Cali
sun.
born and raised.
I was chasing water and sun. I'm like, so I made the mistake of going to Florida. No offense, love Florida. I went out there and I'm like, okay, this is a lot of rain and sun and humidity, and my eczema was not feeling Florida. So I said, okay, so we got to pack up and move. And also, I was in Fort Myers, Florida too. So it was a lot of old retired people. So I was like, you know what, this isn't it either. So I packed up and I traveled clear across and I drove from Florida by myself. Picked up my dog in Nebraska, and then drove all the way out here to California by myself.
Wow.
So there's something to be said, I think, about people that pack up and move different states or cities because it says, I don't need anybody. And it felt good. Yeah, please.
So before we get to you leaving, how about some influences? How about folks that you learn from where you're from that may even have helped given some impetus to you making the move and encouraged you, or at least you saw something in and just said, you know what, if I take what you know here and what you've taught me here and take that to Cali, I'm taking it to another. Were there any of those?
No.
And
I feel
sound
not
like what
bad
Natasha
saying it.
said.
I just said no.
I was like, where they at?
Listen, I'll say this. I love my mother, and she is a very strong woman, a very strong woman with a very strong mindset. But I think I just needed to detach myself from my entire family and everyone in my friends group. I went through not a nasty divorce, but it wasn't a pleasant. I don't think divorces are pleasant, but I went through a divorce, which really put everything into perspective for me. I was about 185 pounds, almost 200, right? I was pushing that thing, and I was looking at my health and my life and really what I wanted to do in the future, and it just wasn't Nebraska. Nothing about where I wanted to go in my life. And it was a feeling. And that's why I feel I definitely am blessed, because there was this feeling like there is more. There is something bigger and better for you. And this is just not it. So I think I was so discouraged by my environment, I had to break out of it. Nothing there was inspiring to me.
Oh, come on now. You said you shouted out the Cornhuskers at least.
That's being a fan.
I had to step foot back there. Yeah, I'm a fan.
It was rough. My granddad died. My whole family, I have 9 aunts and uncles. 9 aunts and uncles. My mom is one of 10 kids. That's a lot of people. I have 40 first cousins that I know of.
Yeah.
And with our big family, I just still feel like we had a small mindset. And again, nothing wrong with my family. Love my family. They're all ambitious and amazing individuals, but I didn't see what I saw as wealth or what I saw as growth. And it's not what I wanted. So I think I got the inspiration from what not to do. Yes. What I did not want for myself. And when my grandfather died, we still had to come out of pocket to figure out how to, and for a while, like, it was financially distressful. 10 children?
Yeah.
That's a problem. So I said, you know what? I think I need to go figure out some things for myself. And as a creative soul, again, Nebraska was not it. I was looking for outlets to have my creativity. And we had this really awesome show called Raw Artists, amazing organization. And they do it in different states. But even the Raw Omaha, it was still very small. but I felt a taste of greatness there. So I said, you know what? Let's go find a place that has more of this, more artistic abilities, more people pushing people to be better. I didn't get pushed. I got pushed in some really not good ways. A lot of bad things happened to me in Nebraska. I had a lot of, hard times, mental, physical, emotional, sexual problems that happened to me as a child. And I said, you know what? I think I just need to wipe this slate clean and start again. Wow. So that's why I moved out to Florida and then eventually California as well.
Are you leaving it on the table? Kaizen Group International reduces tax expenses. They help innovative companies take advantage of congressionally mandated R&D tax incentives, redirecting cash flow and recovering profit back into a business that they may not even be aware of. They have helped over 5,000 small businesses get back the money they deserve, and they may be able to do the same for you. If you spend time being creative, developing a better product or service so you can be more competitive, you likely qualify. You don't have to be an accountant or even understand the ins and outs of R&D tax incentives to take advantage of this program. They'll walk you through every step, so there are no surprises along the way. They're professional, proficient, and experienced. Knowing the ins and outs of the process allows for trust and confidence in what really matters most, the success of your business. They'll help you get back the money you deserve. More details can be found on YouTube, Kaizen Group International Channel. That's Kaizen Group International Channel. Or contact directly by phone at 858-333-6893. Also visit Linktree at WPTOOM, WPEETOOM. Kaizen Group International. Your success is our business. The Film Hub is the future of co-working in downtown Vista. Get energized in an inspiring work environment that is built for your success. With multiple membership options for workspace and private offices, you can become a part of our co-working community. The Film Hub makes it easier to produce the professional content your business needs. From video production, live streams, photo shoots, or in-person events, you can create all this and more in our audio and video facilities. Love your work and where you accomplish it. The Film Hub. When it comes to your wedding, you want to look and feel your best. You don't need to settle for anything less than perfection on the most important day of your life. With Meraki Allure, you can have a custom-designed and measured wedding dress that is exactly what you imagine. They will work with you to choose the perfect style and materials so you can enjoy your dream wedding day knowing that you look stunning. Let Meraki Allure help make your special day unforgettable. Book your consultation today at MerakiAllure.com.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. And I think, I want to ask the same question of you. Like, who were your mentors? Like he told you when it was for me in Louisiana, I had that same feeling of like, yo, where they at?
Right.
So for you, did you have any mentors or early influencers?
And I can't say I have either. It was just the fact of I see my mom work so much. That was like the best example that I could see. I just know I didn't want to go into being a doctor or doing any of that. And it's kind of hard raising a man, a young boy to become a man, and then it's like we have different ideas because I wanted to be around the older guys over there, which was not, those weren't the best influences, but my mom moved us out of there for those situations. But I always kind of rolled into something like, okay, this is what I see to be my best friend, these type of people. You know what I mean? And it's like, not bad people, it's just like you influence, that's what you gravitated to.
That's right.
So, and I felt that was like, that's how I want to live my life.
Yeah.
And just from that, my mom, that's all I can say is that about that. Yeah.
But and at the same time though, I mean, that's probably so easy, right? Yeah. To just kind of lean on those older guys and just be like, go down the wrong roads, have those negative influences, that they are actually feeling like they're successful and they want to show you the route that they're taking and they can take you down that road too. And it's so much easier. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So how did you fight against that?
Nerded out. I've always been an artistic person. Very, very, very artist. Yeah, I've the kid of video games, of drawing, music. My family is they're very inclined in music. Okay. Right. So I played trombone. I was in a band. Good. I've done all of these things, and it's kind of gave me some ways to, like, this is what I might want to do when I get older. This is something I might want to do.
We giggle a little bit, but I think that's so super important, right? Yeah. Because a lot of what this show is about, as we try to inspire future entrepreneurs, is that we talk about these forks in the road. Right. You can go this way or you can go that way. Right. And ain't nothing wrong with nerding out.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Right. Look where you are now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And see, I'm sorry to cut you off, but it's just like, the examples that we do have coming up isn't really that vast. We don't know too many doctors that are famous to only know like basketball players, football. In the South, it's about football. Sure. You know what I mean? Even at a little age, it's like you got parents out there cursing and everything. Like, we already in the NFL or something, And, you got your dealers on the corner. Mm-hmm. That's just what that is, until we find otherwise, because there are the Elon Musk in our hoods. There are the people, the Mark Zuckerbergs, you know what I mean? But it's just like that environment. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Well, they're also not being portrayed as the superheroes of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's the opportunity.
Opportunity. Yeah.
That's the thing. I always preach that about opportunity being presented itself in those type of neighborhoods. Right. Because it really isn't. Right. No one told us that we could be a Mark Zuckerberg. Right. There was a lot of people who love computers, but they weren't fed to be able to grow in those particular areas, because it was that, if you're not in sports or you're not trying to be a Lil Wayne or a Juvenile, then it was,
what you gonna do?
What you gonna do? Yeah.
That environment. What did I think Steve Harvey, he said you have to take the lid off your jar. Like if you know that fleas have a 32-inch vertical and they can jump pretty quite high, right? Pretty high. But if you put a lid on the jar, they can only jump to where the jar is. Sure. They have babies. Well, guess what the babies are doing? They're just jumping just enough, right? That's what happens to us sometimes. We jump just enough. And I needed to take the lid off my jar. He needed to take the lid off his jar. So we could really jump to our full potential.
Oh, for sure.
That was the biggest thing. And the oak tree can never be the oak tree it's supposed to be if the seed is planted in a very small pot. We got to put that in a place where it can spread its roots and grow. Absolutely. And I think that's exactly what this podcast is about as well, spreading your roots and growing with different people who challenge you, who inspire you and encourage you in a positive way, or maybe even a negative way, make you think and challenge. I don't think we were both being challenged the way we needed to be challenged, right? We were being challenged in different ways, which weren't helping with our growth. We want growth, and I don't think we even knew that then, but it was growth we were after. So I think that's why we moved.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about education. Now, did you go to school in the cities that you lived in, or did you actually move out and wind up going to school away from?
I'll let you take that one first.
Yeah. So, my major schooling was more so when I moved to LA in 2004. I went to a school called University High School. But my dad, he was originally from Inglewood. So I got to visit him for 1 year. My mom sent me out to come stay with him, kind of get to know your dad, type deal. I felt like the kid from that movie, what's the Wood. Yeah. I'm super country too out there. They looking at me like, who's this kid, man? So, I kind of got a taste of what that was like. Movie, by the way. It is a great movie. Yeah. And it's crazy because I actually went to La Sierra where they filmed that movie at.
Is that right?
Yeah. Okay. They filmed that. Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I got family on Freeman and 103rd. Inglewood is. Yeah. I spent many years in Inglewood.
I'll stay right down the street. Look, La Brea and Centinela or Plymouth. Okay. Yeah, right behind that Ralph's, if you know where that's at. So, but that was my schooling out there. We first moved to Santa Monica, which I went to University High School. We came from Texas, and then we moved to LA. And that was a fast life. That was a very fast life. It was nothing like the South. It was very different, big city. First time I seen kids drop out at 14 to go work with their parents, though. You talk about Chaldeans or, you just people like Benzes. I'm like, what did I graduate? Like, this is very different. But that was my school. It was basic education. It wasn't anything of extraordinary learning, not that stuff that I know we'll get to it, but what we do, which we should be teaching in our school system instead of that, giving us the nails and what we say, babe, the nails and the hammer. They give us the tool belt, but no foundation. 100%. We fall in line and continue that rat race of just, okay, you go to school. School get you the good grades. Great, that'll get you the good job.
That's right.
Boom, 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 boom. So I just knew that I just wanted to play football.
Okay.
So that was my upcoming. I was like, I know football is going to take me somewhere. Basketball, one of these sports. We're born athletes. We're born amazing, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Off top. But it's just like, okay, you got so many outlets, but what do you want to do? And just don't mess it up. You know, so that's kind of, that was that pill right there, because I seen people getting, I'm like, okay, there's money now. And then we have sports. I know I can make money in sports, but then I can make quicker money here because I'm not there yet. You know, so it's, you kind of get torn in between those, you know, but end up taking the sports route, you know what I mean? But still, it was just like, it was a confusion there, you know? Go ahead, yeah.
I got a question.
Yeah.
You go from your mom and your mom's influence, and now you're with your dad and your dad's influence. And if it's, you know, you don't have to answer, but I'm just interested in what the push is. Is there a different push happening like, to move in with your father and kind of take the route that he wants you to go on?
Yeah. And he was a teacher for LAUSD.
Okay.
My father was a teacher.
My father was the head janitor for LAUSD.
Okay. And he this was actually like a year. I stayed with him for a year. My mom, we moved out. She moved us out. Cedar Sinai. Her job moved us out in 2004. Sorry for not being specific with that one. No. But yeah, his teaching was very different. It was more so of those like a father trying to love his son, but not seeing his son until then. You know what I mean? So I always feel it's a great guy. It's just like I felt like myself as the Will Smith episode, the Fresh Prince episode. You know what I mean? Like, why you don't love me, man? But it was tough love. It was him showing, because his father was tough. His father was military. You know what I mean? So his growing up was different. Very disciplined guy. You know what I mean? Writing standards. You mess up in school. He used to send me to school with like the paper with the happy faces on there and some comments next to it. If I come home, I got quick to that, right? Come home with a sad face, you already know you getting that butt whoop, right?
Okay.
So yeah, balancing some books on your head or something. So he was a real hardcore dude, but it was his way of showing love. And you know, it took me a while to kind of understand that. You know what I mean? But that was like, wow, he actually meant well. He just didn't know how to love.
Yep.
You know, he didn't know.
Oh, that's good. That's so sweet.
I love it, man. I love it. That's a great story, and that's a great way to put things, man. I mean, really, because I think it's so important. Well, you know what's really important about you guys' story is that there's so many transitions. Because like I said, these transitions teach people.
Yeah.
Because there's some people with both of their parents, or some people with one parent or whatever, and they get into this position where it's like, how do I get to where I want to be?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And there's a decision to be made here. There's a decision to be made. The branch is off, right? And the decisions that you made they turned out to be right. They're not necessarily the decision that everybody should make or would make, but it turned out to be right. And so everybody can still have faith.
So true. I
Right?
love that.
That makes
So
sense?
true. No, 100. You know, I'm very cautious when I use the words right and wrong, because now it seems like there's a right way. And what is right?
Right.
It's right for you and your situation. And I just don't necessarily believe in right and wrong anymore. Even the wrong thing could be the right thing, right? So it's really right. Right?
Sure.
So it's really nice. It's all about decisions and perspective of it as well, because some of the
Only
things
fans taught me that.
Okay, keep it real.
There is no wrong way.
There is no wrong way. There's no wrong way or one way to do anything.
Right.
And I really love what you had said. It's like your parents showed you love in the best way they could, and they just really didn't understand how to do it. That's very similar to my mother. And my upbringing is I don't want to say very different, but my mother was very hurt growing up. And love you, Mom. My mother was very hurt growing up, and I didn't know it as a child. But being raised by a mother whose heart was truly broken, and she actually said something to me. I just thought of it just now. She said, just because we are broke doesn't mean that we have to look it. And we had a nice home. We lived in a residential neighborhood. I had a queen size bed as a young adult, but I heard my mom crying in the background all the time. I heard my mother sad. She didn't eat so I could have clothes that are, you know, when I go back to school, the new clothes. Like, she would sacrifice a lot for me, which made me feel so bad. I remember I actually had this phase of stealing. So I went through like stealing from like places, because it's wrong to steal from people, but if you steal from Shopko, it's okay. So I got caught. No, thank goodness I was 16 years old. So I didn't get charged with anything too much, but I remember it broke my mom's heart. But I remember just knowing I only did that because I didn't want her to have to sacrifice what she was sacrificing to make sure that I was okay. So, and I wish I could go back and tell my mom, stop saying you're broke, because broke it's a mindset. It's not the money. You're broken in your mentality. And if you keep saying that and portraying that, I felt broke as a child, as a young adult. I was broken. I went to a private school to get away from getting pregnant, doing drugs and all that stuff. You go to a private school, you're literally forced to get into doing drugs and all that stuff. So, right, I went to a private school that had 91 people in it entirety. Like, so I'm from freshmen all the way up to seniors, 91 people. I met some really great people in that school, which opened my eyes. You can see the wealthy individuals, right? One of my friends had a whole motocross thing in his backyard, like a whole, Wow. It was beautiful. So I got to see different. But my mother and we had a really difficult relationship growing up. I just remember feeling depressed all the time.
Yeah.
I got into, I'm going to go full disclosure, open book. I got into cutting. I got into self-harm. I got into, I hate myself. I hate my life.
Yeah.
I don't want to live anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. I was sexually assaulted more than 6 times. And I mean, raped. I want to say that very clear, not sexually assaulted. One was by my uncle, right? Not my blood uncle, but it's things like that that make you become a broken child. And I felt broke. I felt unloved. I felt overweight. And the one thing I had was my virginity, and that was taken from me. So I felt like there was nothing for me to do or be. And my mom was very hurt. So the way she showed love was, she would say this, you're not chunky. She said, you are obese. Go walk to school. And that hurts when you're 8 years old. So
Right.
I had a lot of stuff to mentally come out of. And I tell Brett all the time, I'm so thankful that my mom was very harsh and she had that hurt, because it made me push past the hurt to find the love. And now when people are hurt, I can see right past their hurt and I can find their love, because all it was a hurt woman trying to help. And I love my mom, but as soon as I could get out of the house, I did. I left for college, and I went to a really small city called Beatrice, Nebraska. And that's where I had my schooling, and I went to school for pharmaceuticals. I thought it'd be cool to be a licensed drug dealer. Dropped out of that. Only went to school for 2 years, dropped out, and then I moved back home, and that's when I got literally engaged. So I was 19 years old, got engaged, got married at 19 years old too. Yeah. But
There's
again,
so
when
much
you're broken,
there's so much there, right? To unpack. Because, really, I wanted to get a little bit back to the point of, there's what a lot of people might call a good life. You know what I'm saying? You're going to a private school. You're around these kids. They got money. You're in the middle class living and everything. But there's so much pain around you.
You see the outside, but you don't see what's happening inside. My mom literally could not pay for her car. Had to get a new car, drop down to get me into private school. I couldn't get certain things because she was paying for my private school. I actually couldn't graduate my private school because we didn't pay all of my tuition yet. I didn't graduate until almost a year after. That's when I got my tuition paid, and I helped pay my own tuition. And these are things that, as a young adult, still as somebody who's not really aware of things, my mom is very closed off. She doesn't really like to talk about things too much.
Sure.
It was just, I don't want to say hard, but it was hard growing up. It was very hard emotionally. I felt so depressed. I remember one time I sat down on my ground. I was just crying. I just said, you know what? I can't do this anymore. And I gave it all up to a higher power. I remember that day because I said, I'm done. I'm about to run away. You can't run away from your single mom.
Right.
I'm her only child.
Right.
So if I ran away, that would break her soul.
Yeah.
So I remember not running away for her. And then I just remember saying, what am I going to do? Because I can't live like this anymore.
Yeah.
So I gave it all up to God, to that higher power. And then from there, things started changing for me. I started seeing things through love lenses instead of through
Perspective.
Yeah, perspective. It's all about perspective. Is my theme word of my life. Perspective.
Yeah.
Right? Because one person's view of your life is so good. You have all the stuff. We had tile floors. My mom did all the tile floors herself. Wow. She didn't have anybody hire. We got new windows. We did all that ourselves. It wasn't somebody came in and redid our home. We did it. I remember pulling up the carpet, shoveling that, and it was fun for me as a kid. Perspective. One story that my mom actually, I didn't realize until I was older, we had to camp out in our kitchen. And I thought we were just having a really good camp out, having fun. My mom's really good. She was a teacher. So she's really good at making things creative. It was because we didn't have heat. So she used the oven.
And
put
the body heat.
And we had a very small kitchen. So that's how we were able to survive that winter. And again, outside looking in, people thought we had a really, decent life. It was really rough. It was really rough. That's why I didn't like my dad at first. I thought he did not love me. I thought he did not want to help. I thought that because you only hear one perspective.
Yeah.
I didn't hear my dad's.
Yeah.
So I had to go look for it on my own.
And I really thank both of you guys for sharing like your stories and that being vulnerable in this moment. I think that these are moments of when I like really love being a therapist because hearing that perspective, I try to preach that to people like all the time. When you become an adult and you realize that your parents were adults trying to raise kids, I think about that all the time. I'm like, yo, as much stress as I was going through with like school or whatever, I couldn't do that with kids.
Man.
Right.
I would be like, yeah, go to your room. I can't talk. Mommy can't talk. Go to your room.
Right.
And to hear that you guys are forgiving of your parents for them being
They were doing
adults
the best that they
trying
could.
to do the best that they can is like touching. I mean, actually make me want to tear up a little bit because that's life. And I wish that a lot of people kind of had that too, because that's what mold us and make us to where we are. It's like going back to go, thank you for those things that you did. Yeah, I probably complained about it as a kid, but look where I am now.
Yeah.
Like just
So
doing those
true.
particular things. Yeah.
It helps so much in
Thank
life.
you.
And it sits differently too. It's like just to forgive. You got to forgive. Whatever it may be, you just got to forgive, man. I can't live with that guilt. You know what I mean? Of even feeling something for somebody like that. It's like, you know, I'm going to pray for you. Whatever it may be, I'm going to just pray for you. And I got to keep it moving. I know life is hard. It really is.
That's right. You know, that's right. And I do appreciate you guys sharing as well, all of you guys. And I will say that what's very important for those parents, those lost parents, or the parents who haven't figured it all out, or one of the things that's important for them to do is find communication. Be good at explaining it, breaking it down. You know what I'm saying? Because that's so important. Because like you said, you went to go find the information. You went to go find out how good your dad might have been as a person.
I had to.
Yeah.
You can't just take one
You had to
perspective.
go research though, but you're the child. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And if the parents can be good communicators, then it can all work out that way.
So true.
You know what I'm saying?
So true.
So, man, this is good, man. We have fun. Okay. All right. So let's talk about school, though. You know, how were you guys in school? How, you know, when you
Terrible.
did go
Bad
out
grades.
there? Okay. No, but okay. So, but like, there's more to it than grades, right?
Right.
So we were just talking about that, right?
Right.
You know, again, sharing again. I graduated high school at 16 years old. I skipped kindergarten. I think I skipped first grade too. Who knows? It was all a blur. But then at some point, you know, I wanted to kind of not get good grades in my junior and senior year because all of the kids were 2 years older than me. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm trying to slow it all down to kind of get more closer to my peers. But then when I did get to
Dumb it
college,
down.
everybody's way older than me. You know what I'm saying? So then it's just like, let's just go to work. You know what I'm saying? And so the grades isn't as important as how much you're really learning, how much you're really taking in. Because when I got into the work world, hey, that was easy.
Right.
Yeah, real world's fine for me. I'm good in the real world. Thank you for tuning in to the Same Business Different Day podcast. If you like the way that our show sounds and looks and are interested in doing a podcast of your own, send us an email. Yes, we've gotten into the podcast game, producing podcasts for individuals and businesses just like you. Contact us at adifferentdayradio@gmail.com or on IG at adifferentdayradio. The Same Business Different Day podcast is brought to you by yourinsuranceplace.com. Yourinsuranceplace.com is a conglomeration of two agencies, Network One Insurance and Bill Corley Insurance Agency. Their property and casualty agents and brokers specialize in commercial insurance of all types, general liability, workers' compensation, professional liability, auto, agribusiness, and much more. They also have great insurance carriers for your homes and autos. How do I know they are that good? Because I'm one of the agents. We believe in ourselves, and you will too. Contact us at yourinsuranceplace.com or call us direct at 866-384-0479. That's yourinsuranceplace.com. Again, I ask you, how was school?
Well, the focus it was very different, especially with approaching. We're gonna talk more about high school. I was always a smart kid, but I didn't want to be that smart kid because I started figuring out like I didn't want to be that nerd like that, you know what I mean? Because I did have people copying off my paper and everything, like, but it was like, nah, I'm about to just fail this test. You know what I mean? By choice, yeah, I'm just about to fail this test, but that wasn't doing good because I'm living with my mom, and she like, yeah, you're great. Come on now, I work very hard. Right. And you over here getting bad grades. Yeah. You know, so I at least keep it at a C. Okay. B's and C's, you know what I mean? But it was very different. And you know, I wanted to go hang out with other people. You know what I mean? I wanted to go skip school. Yeah. I wanted to be that kid. You know, I had the cool house in Santa Monica. You know what I mean? So everybody would like come over. I had the seniors. I wanted to be cool. So the seniors come, let's go over your house, man. Oh, your mama got A&J and everything. I used to make juice. I used to sell it at school and everything, man. I was just going to look, $5. I called it hood juice, all right? So whoever here, they know what's up. But yeah. Erkin Jerkin Kool-Aid, man. It was high schoolers, you know. But you know, and just being introduced to I want to kind of bring it back because this was my first interaction with actually meeting gang members. You know what I mean? Because I went to school. First off, got banged on my first day. This is a funny story though, but got banged on my first day. I wear red, right? I didn't know anything about the coordinations over here, okay? Just out of school, it looks like it's been in movies and everything, okay? Yeah, it's just a color. I walk through, just walk up. They're like, "Hey, cuz, where you from?" I said Texas, super country, right? They started laughing and they was like, "Cuz, ain't even from here, but hey, them colors though, don't wear them ever again." And they chunked up the ends, which was like neighborhoods, right? They were from 60s. And I was like, oh, what just happened? I'm there the whole day, but we had like every gang at our school. You know what I mean? So I'm in school.
How old were you?
This was 14.
Okay.
I was 14 at the time. So that interaction, that became very fast. It was like, you
were old enough to get jumped.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not even gonna tell the stories on here. It's basically when I moved to Inglewood, it was a whole different story. But yeah, you know, just the fact is you have to even watch because that's something that can mess you up mentally too, especially if you're somewhere else. Colors, I gotta watch what I wear.
Oh, for sure.
When I go here, I can't. If I even wear gray, hold on, I'm against the Raiders. You know what I'm saying? Oh, you like the Raiders, bro? Like, hold on,
you heard the word systemic.
Right? Yeah. So these are other things that can affect kids in school as well, and really astray you from what the real goal is, which is to get out of there, get out of school, right? Go place or do whatever you got to do, but just graduate. Yeah. Get out of here because a lot of people don't get a chance to
get out the wrong way. It's just like, you know what? I just got to drop out of here. It's too scary around.
Yeah. And being that young too, I lost a lot of friends to gang violence.
Okay.
Too. So that can also tear you up. So it's like you still got to live your life, but it's like, man, this is really happening. Like people around me that are way young are dying. You know, so but hey, made it out, you know, and then like I say, I end up going to what we talk about education,
right?
Education. So I end up going to Junco.
Okay.
You know, because still, there's nothing wrong with that. But that's the still being undecided and just, you know, I was late on my grades, had an opportunity to go play at UNLV, but didn't take my exam. What was it? The SATs, I think in California, was it SATs? Didn't take that in time, but had an opportunity to play. But they were like, yeah, you're gonna go to the Junco, get right there, and we'll holler at you. You know.
Okay.
And tore my Achilles. So it took out my whole career. There's no Kobe money, you know what I mean? How you came back from that? Hey, that was different.
No, that's a year off, and at that age, you probably you're not coming back for that.
and you know though, but and then now it's like, but when you actually are like tied into like I just want to play sports all my life, you don't have a plan B, a plan C. That's when you realize, I gotta go find a job now. I gotta. What is a job? I don't even, you know, my first job was at Honey Baked Ham, and I was, you know, I was like, this is probably, I'm just last time I'm even work a job, right? I'm about to be in the leagues, right? But then once that happens, it's like you get real broken down, and then you got to figure it out after that, you know. So that's when the other schoolings came in with the trades. I was doing the audio engineering, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went to school to go do that. Good. And I was like,
No, but that's still an education, though.
Yeah. My mom always said, she was like, if you go to school, at least get something under your belt. Have something on your belt. You know, have that paper.
That's right.
That's all that is. That paper can take you far.
That's right.
Because that's what she knows. She's went very far. You know what I mean? She's got her dream job. You know what I mean? Cosby permit. She's like, baby, if I get this job, that's it.
Yeah.
And she got it. I'm so happy for her.
That's what's up.
You know, and
that's what's up, man. That's a beautiful story, man. But I still got to get back to that no plan B. I mean, because that's a story within itself, right there, right? That's so important.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I wrote that down as one of the business lessons. We gotta hear it from you, Gian. We gotta hear about the education path, and don't just stop at the grades weren't good, because that's not what it's all about. I'm gonna say this once. I'm gonna say this 1 second though. I have interviewed and hired many people. I'm not going back to the references in your transcripts and all of that stuff. I'm gonna check some references, but I'm not checking all the schools you went to. I'm not calling the school, ask what kind of student you were, or anything like that. Right. I'm gonna interview. We're gonna talk face to face. We're gonna figure out who you are. The reason you guys, I didn't check your resume either before you guys got in here, but I know that I respect you guys, and I know why I respect you guys. And so you're here now, regardless of how things went in school. Tell me how education affected you.
I would say I actually love learning so much. I love science.
I
love soaking. I'm a big old sponge. But when I was, again, the mentality of things, you can't be right and do right if you're not right within.
Right.
What is it? What do they say? How you gonna win if you ain't right within?
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. So when I went to school, I was really great with reading, comprehending, and all that good stuff. I actually skipped a grade, and what happened was my mentality got so broke that I didn't feel like I was worth the schooling. And that's rough even saying. I really do remember that. I remember just being so broke that I felt ignorant, even though I know I wasn't. So in school, I messed around. I don't want to say I'm the class clown, because there was people doing that for themselves. I was trying, but I don't think because I was right here, I couldn't focus. And I learned very different. And with school, you only have one teacher explaining how to do one thing. And when things don't click for you, and then they move on to the next subject, and you're still left on chapter 2 and they're on chapter 8, that becomes difficult. So in school, I remember in high school, I was the person just connecting with people. And I'm thankful I went to my private school. Shout out to CVA, go Eagles.
Shout out.
It was a great school, but I will say this, when I was in the school, it felt like they weren't really there to try to teach you too much.
Okay.
And I don't say that disrespectfully, but we would cancel school to go do snowman building contest outside. We still had like going out on the playground in 8th and 9th grade. So our school was very different, very different. But what it did teach me is communication. It taught me connection. It taught me how to network. Because I knew everyone and everyone knew me.
That's right.
And it wasn't always in the best way, because I was pretty wild. Like I was the person that would go up and Ravenclaw people that's sticking. Okay.
Oh.
All right. Anyway, so it's a private school. So anyway, we would tackle each other in the hallway. Private schools are very different. And when you only have people that there's 91 students in the whole school, you know everyone. We did chapel together. So we actually had vacations. We went on trips. Our senior class trip was to Hawaii. So we went there for almost 2 weeks. And that was eye-opening in itself. So I will say I'm so thankful that my mom did put me in that school, because it allowed me to get a vision of more. I think that's the biggest inspiration. My school actually was a great inspiration because of the people and the diversity. And I was the only Black child in the whole school.
Of course, it's Nebraska.
I was the only Black child in the whole school.
Thank you.
It's Nebraska.
Let me say this. Okay, there's a lot of Black people in Nebraska. A lot. Omaha
But you're scattered.
Okay, we're scattered. It's like San Diego. It's like San Diego, just smaller, right? So my school was definitely not the Black school. It was just the school because I was Seventh-day Adventist. So I went to the Seventh-day Adventist school. And actually, I went to a Seventh-day Adventist school and became Seventh-day Adventist. I went to church on Sundays up until I went to that school, and it kind of opened my perspective up to more things. We studied the Bible, and I will have to shout out our Bible teacher, Mr. Rail. That man allowed us to study. I love that. He allowed us to study all religions. And in most communities, cultures, you are taught, and that's what you do.
And that's it.
That's it. That is
Everybody else is the devil.
And I'm so excited. He even let one of the students that was the class clown study Satanism. And everybody's like, whoa. But I'm so thankful because we actually got to see another perspective on all these different religions and all these different people. And that felt good. We had debate class. And debate class was one of my favorites. So I really have a shout out to my school. It helped me see things in a different view. And when I went back to my family, that's when things started getting weird, because my family is very stuck on this is how it is. This is what you do.
Focus.
Right. I'm a
One
creative
way
soul.
focus.
I'm an artist. Like I came out here to body paint, right? My family looked at me like crazy. You don't get tattoos, right? You study the Bible, you go to church on Sunday. I started doing different things. I started being a different person. And that scares people when you're different. That scares people when you're different. So my school really helped me expand my view and my mind. So for the grades, not the best, but for the mentality, I think I excelled, because I'm looking back at some of the people I went to school with. Love you guys. I'm thankful for being able to see more and be able to do more.
And you know what? It actually revealed just now your earlier influencer. Who was that teacher?
Oh yeah, Mr. Rail.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, go Mr. Rail. Yeah. He was a really great, and he was kind, and he was a loving soul. Just really wanted to help people out, and seeing his view and allowing him to come from a love view for all of us who had questions that no one could answer, because those are questions you don't ask. That was beautiful. So yeah, actually I love that. Thank you. Thank you for recognizing that. So yeah, so our schooling was really awesome. Yeah. I loved my schooling. And then I know you went to college. I went to school for pharmaceutical. Actually ended up having to drop out because I messed a class up. The guy who was supposed to help me with my prereqs didn't put me in my A&P class, my anatomy and physiology class. And when I was in my studies, they're like, you got to go back and do your A&P class. I was already at 19 or 20 hours, 20 credit hours. I had to do 23 or 24 credit hours. I remember that number. And I'm a 19-year-old girl in school trying to do credit hours. And they're like, oh my gosh. And then I had to do A&P online. Try to do anatomy and physiology online. It was the worst. Yeah. I failed. Yeah. So even though I was actually doing great in my pharmaceutical classes, they said, well, so sorry, you didn't do your A&P and you failed. That's it. So I left.
You know what though? I'm actually in, please take this the right way, perspective. I'm actually glad you failed.
I'm glad I failed
because
too.
I couldn't see you behind a window handing out drugs. That's that jar.
It's right? So funny.
That's that jar. I couldn't see you doing
that. I worked at a pharmacy for about a year because you had to do the outside. You had to go out there and work. And I worked at 2 different pharmacies. And I tell you this, the pharmacists, they felt like they just wanted to kill themselves every day they came in to the office. I mean, there was no happiness. There was no joy. And I could feel that. So again, I was shown what I don't want.
Shout out to that person who failed her. Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out to you. They didn't give her the right direction. Shout out to
Southeast Community College. Let's go. Yeah. So I'm really thankful for all the lessons that I've learned and looking at them in a positive way instead of a negative way. At the moment, I don't know how I felt, but now looking back, those are all such great things that help me go on that trajectory.
Yeah.
I do want to say though, in season 3, we did a podcast on education for all of the children in high school and even the college students that went through the COVID experience. And the story you just told about trying to learn some really difficult things online, it doesn't make much sense what a lot of those kids have to go through. And you know, we felt real bad for them. So we got educators on and we really talked about that because it was really tough. And it has been tough. And you know, this whole thing isn't over, but hopefully, education wise, we get it all figured out because you can't force these kids to, try to figure all of this stuff out from it, especially if they haven't, figured it all out socially, at this point either. You know what I'm saying? But one of the things, though, I did want to ask you, though, about Gian is first jobs, like early jobs, though. Okay, so you did your internship type job with the pharmaceutical company, but
I worked at 16, my first job.
Okay.
I was a teacher for swimming. So I
taught swimming teacher.
Taught little kids how to swim. Yeah. It was the funnest thing for me because I could teach them, I could educate them, and then I get to throw them off of the diving board. It's the best part.
This took a turn.
Something else.
But we got
you're a teacher like my dad's a teacher.
Right. Well, okay, so let me tell you, we have like little 3. I taught kids from 2 to I think up to 8 years old, and I actually got TMJ because somebody backglided into my jaw and I have lockjaw now. So it's terrible, but. The children were amazing. I love teaching. I love kids, and playing in the water is super fun. Now, my favorite part, and I know it sounds a little, but throwing the kids off was fun because they were so scared, but then you got to catch them. So they were petrified, and that's a life lesson there. I always like these life lessons, right?
Hey, come on, Superwoman. What are you talking about here? Now, you on the diving board throwing them, or are you on the inside catching them? You can't be
I
both.
did both. No, I did both. So I taught the kids, and then
Beat you to the water.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I taught the kids, and then there's this diving board, and it's overcoming your fears in the water, right? So the parents, you have to get permission first, right? So we got permission from the parents, and the kids are scared because it's high up, right? But then they face their fears. Not really, because you throw them off, but you get to toss them, and then you also can catch and receive. So it depends on the class.
Life would do that anyway.
Exactly.
Oh,
See, when it comes to perspective,
yes, these kids.
I don't want to.
Now, when they grow up, they have this very valuable lesson if they look at it in a perspective type way. That I had to be forced into a fear, and I never want to be forced into a fear again. Next time, I'm just going to
do
leap
it myself
because it's my choice.
And they started doing it themselves after, and that was I love that. That is so. And I always try to take these life lessons and really apply them to my life outside. Right. So that was my first job as a swimming teacher.
So I'm appreciating. I'm gonna go ahead and say
That's awesome.
I'm appreciating this running thread of perspective you guys are talking. But I ain't going for no throwing kids. It's just not me. Yeah, okay, but
That's not the class I'm taking. Yeah. I wouldn't even start there. Yeah.
No, but that's funny. That's hilarious, man.
my
Honey
first
baked
job.
hams.
Honey,
Yeah.
That's where you was working.
man,
was
honey
your
baked
first
ham.
job?
Yeah.
Was that your first job?
That was my first job coming
What'd you
out
learn there?
in high school. Huh?
What'd you learn there?
How to make glazed hams.
And he doesn't
And
eat pork at all.
So let me tell you too, because I was really about my money in high school. Listen, so we weren't even supposed to get tips at this place, but I put a little tip cup in the front of the cash register, so I would sell them like a bigger ham, but charge them a lesser price for it. So I kind of get a little something off of that. Yeah, but honey baked ham was a great job. It was a great job because I got to meet some celebrity. I got to meet Jessica Alba. She was in after she had her baby. This was Fantastic Four. Fantastic 4 days. Sherman Hemsley walked in there.
What?
Yeah.
George Jefferson was up
George
there?
Jefferson was in. It was funny when he walked in by himself, and it was funny because one of the guys there.
Did he walk in?
He was like, no, that's what he told him to do. You don't ever tell a celebrity to do something that they do on the show. They don't like that. He's like, who is this dude, man? That's what. Yeah. I was like, I got you, man. Come over here. I got you. Yeah. He said, oh, you the guy to do the boom boom. I'm like, you don't do that.
I
Just
call
stay
it.
back.
That's the Tupac walk. You ever see the walk out of court?
I'm done.
Yeah.
He did the George Jefferson.
Yeah.
Hashtag Tupac.
You know what? But so now tell me about other jobs, though. I mean, because we're about to get into the reveal. I want to get into the second half of this and really kind of break down what you guys are doing now. And it's amazing what you guys are doing now. It's amazing the journey that they're explaining to us, right? The whole story, everything that you're breaking down is just perfect for this show. But I do want to hear about other jobs that you picked up on. Heck, you told me earlier about being a truck driver, right? And the difficulty there before you got into the business that you're in now. And we're going to talk about the business, but tell me about both of you guys. Give me a little bit about other jobs that really kind of had an impact or taught you something early on.
I got this. Let me talk about this because I worked for a company that was called Labor Ready.
Okay.
In Inglewood. So they gave you multiple jobs, like whatever you wanted to sign up to do or be, you can go do that, right? Okay. So I was putting tarp on the roof one day, with no harness, right? So if you fall off, you gone, right? You making like $9 an hour, right? And these things coming off conveyor belts and they heavy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you slip, they like, cool. While these dudes out there making like $40-some an hour, you know what I mean? But it's a day work, you know what I mean? And if you're good, they like, hey, you want to work for us? And I'm like, no, I wanted to do something else the next day. So I'm at the airport working at this other place called Gate Gourmet. Then I worked at another place. I was a teacher at Gar Elementary.
Okay.
Yeah, in Crenshaw. So I was like, I was a teacher over there. And that was actually one fun job, actually seeing the kids and interacting with them and just
Did you
teaching
throw them off
them.
diving boards or anything?
No, never that. Never that. Nothing like that.
Respect
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yeah. No. I wasn't even a fan of swimming like that. I was the kid on the side of the pool, just like, I'll be there.
He doesn't know how to swim right now,
I'll be there.
so.
12. I got it. Look like a frog. I'm like but I'm there.
You can save your own life.
I can save my own life. Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Oh my gosh. But that was the place. And then where did I go after that? So before that, and it was cooking.
You learn
It was
lessons and all of that, though.
Yeah, and then, but my biggest passion is cooking. I just graduated culinary school about 3 months ago.
My man.
Yeah, so I always loved cooking. You know what I mean? And it was more so of like learning from those jobs. Because when I was stuck in the kitchen, I was like, I'm washing dishes. I'm looking at y'all like, what y'all doing? This is boring over here, right? Got wrinkled hands. Let me go see what y'all doing. Yeah, come over here, man. Come make some soup. Come do something simple, right? Come chop some salad, whatever it may be. And then I kind of built a love for that, you know, and then started getting different tastes for this and for that. Then I started getting a job. What did I get? A job at what's my first? Yeah, it was the Gate Gourmet place, which is for the Emirates flights. Gate.
Okay.
Gates, not Gate
I heard,
Gourmet.
okay.
Gates
Okay.
Gourmet.
I just
Gate
wanna clarify.
Correction. Gates
Hey, you
Gourmet.
could sell a TV show right
Yeah.
now if it was the other one.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. But I just picked up a lot of trades from that, so it can give me more perspective of, hey, this might be something I want to do in my future.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So after throwing kids off the diving board,
Okay.
my profession, I started at 16. And then after that, I went to, I actually own my own business doing Cutco.
There it is.
And I will say I was one of the top sales reps, right? I actually sold, I think $68,000 of Cutco in about 3 months. So I was in the little Vector Club. I got the little pin and everything.
How much they let you keep?
Oh, I got paid. I don't remember, but I got paid.
They get
It was
you
a
a good
decent
cut.
amount.
That's at least like
They
10.
were
That's at
good.
least like 10.
They were good. And since I went to a
was
private
good.
school, my entrepreneur mind and thinking not even outside the box, there was no box for me, right? I actually pulled up my whole directory. They had all the numbers. And I just went through the numbers in my directory in my school, my private school. And I called every single person. I remember sleeping in my car, having my appointment book backed up, like going to the Cutco selling the knives. And they were good knives up until I cut myself. So I accidentally stabbed myself with the Cutco knife.
Man, you got cut with the Cutco.
In my
That's what
stomach.
my godmom said. You got cut with the Cutco.
A cut with the Cutco. Oh my
Everybody
God.
get cut with the Cutco.
Those knives are dangerous, but they say it's actually more dangerous to have a dual blade than a sharp blade. Just, Cutco knowledge. So I worked for Cutco, and then after Cutco, I went to school. So then I was the pharmacy, did the pharmaceutical thing, and then I came out and I worked for the National Gallup Poll for 5 years. And I will say that's why I have such a great sultry voice, But the National Gallup Poll. And fun fact, Nebraska is where most call centers are at because we have no like what is that accent?
Yeah,
We are
that's
just
true.
you can just
straightforward.
hear exactly what we say.
Look at you. Yeah, babe.
So I could use all my
fact.
So I actually called China, called different places, different countries. We did call centers for the hospitals and then for phone companies. I actually really loved that job, and I became the #1 recruiter at that job too. So I recruited individuals there. But then that's also when I started learning, you guys don't have it that great. After the 5th year, they gave me a 75-cent raise, and I was capped. And they also said, well, you could be a manager here if you would like. You won't be able to work on the floor. You don't get overtime, and you don't get commission. That's when I learned my first lesson about commission. Commission is amazing. So whoever says, sorry, your choice, but commission is no cap.
Yeah, they
And
don't
when
put
I
a
was-
lid on your job.
I'm not about the lid. So when I saw the managerial position, I was interested at first, but I saw how much paperwork they had, and the managers were all stressed out all the time. They were capped at $130,000. And even for Nebraska, that's small. That is small. So I said, so I could get a raise for 75 cents more and stay on the floor, or I could be a manager and get capped at $135,000. How about I say no? And that's when I said, you know what, I'm going to go look for some other things. And that's when everything really started changing, because I was married during that time. 5 years went by. There was a lot of stuff. I worked at that job for a long time. I made them a lot of money. It was time for me to start making myself a lot of money. But I recruited a lot of people there and got a lot of great relationships. And I will say Gallup had a really great teamwork and camaraderie in that company. They made sure that your health was well. They gave you bonuses for being healthy. That's pretty cool. I really do like the way the structure of the company is amazing. However, that was not for me for my rest of my life. There's people that are 65 and 70-year-olds still working there. That's not me. That's not me.
That's all right. You still kept the sultry. You took the sultry voice with you.
I did.
Yeah. So you good. You good.
So that's when I moved. So Gallup
I like
was
it.
my
I
last
like
job.
it. So it's time to get to the reveal. Thank you for listening to Same Business, Different Day. We truly appreciate your support. Please like, subscribe, and leave a nice comment on all platforms. It really helps our show. The Same Business, Different Day podcast is produced by A Different Day Radio, Star Fox Media, and James Russell.